Welcome back to the Coming Out Happy podcast. We're your hosts, Danny and Keely, your LGBTQ plus life coaches. As an LGBTQ plus adult, we know it can be complicated, but here's where we break it all down for you, and you can learn all about becoming your most authentic self so you can create really healthy relationships. Our goal from this podcast is to help you uncover all that makes you who you are and step into that future you. This podcast is your weekly check-in to focus on yourself and start taking actions towards the life and relationships you've always wanted.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you love this episode, make sure you leave a 5-star review or rating. We can't wait to hear from you. Now let's get into it. What's up, everyone? It's Danny and Keely. We're so happy you're tuning in with us today and really just taking some time for you. It's so important that you do that for yourself. We're going to have an amazing topic for you today, but before we get into it, there's just a few things that I want you to know. So if you're not following us on Instagram yet, at Coming Out Happy, make sure you head on over there. That's where you're going to catch us every single Monday. On our Instagram, we're going live for Monday Motivation. It's at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. EST. So figure out which time zone you're in and make sure you put it on your calendar. It's all about self-growth, self-reflection, and really diving into who you are. We have a lot of fun on Mondays, and every single Friday, we're going to post this podcast for you. So make sure you subscribe, download, maybe set a little reminder again for yourself. That way you can really stay in touch and make sure you're taking that time out of your week for the self-growth and discovery journey that you're currently on. And then if you're really loving the lives, the posts, everything that we do, and you can't get enough of this podcast, I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to check out our program, Pride Amplified. It's all about stepping into your most authentic self, committing to the journey of self-growth, and really starting to love who you are, so that way you can create really healthy relationships and live a life that's for you. Danny and I are here to support and guide you all along the way, and sometimes you just need a little bit of accountability and support to get you there. It's so powerful and such a game changer when you have that in your life, and that's exactly what we do with you. So thank you so much. We're super excited to get into our episode today, so let's get right into it. So I want to talk to you about something. And it's something that comes up a lot. I pretty much talk about it every single day with new clients that are coming to us, and I talk about it in our programs. I talk about it, all throughout, and I think about it in my own life too. And that's the conversation of fear. Fear is so real. I just want to be so vulnerable with that. I mean, I can relate completely to it, and I know so many of the people that we work with feel fear. And maybe you're listening to this right now and you're like, fear has taken over my life. So let's get into it, Keely. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down and really dive into what it means to overcome fear and what that looks like or could look like in your own life. We are, just coming off our 3-day dating authentically challenge as I'm, speaking this to you. And a lot of what it came to at the end was deciding whether or not to take the jump and start living their life authentically for them and seeing if they needed support along the way to actually step into the person that they want to become and really accomplish some of these major goals that they have. So something I want to say about fear is that it can keep us exactly where we are and never move us forward if we let it. And so I want you to think about that one more time. And I know I kind of butchered that, but let me say it again. It can keep us exactly where we are and never move us forward if we let it. So Danny, have you thought about that before? Or even seen it in your own life or some of the clients that we work with? Have you felt like fear has kept you exactly where you are or seen it happen?
Absolutely. I mean, fear at many points in my life has debilitated me from making decisions, has held me back from going after extreme goals that I wanted to accomplish because I was so afraid of the other side. I was so afraid of what the future version of me could look like that it held me back from even taking a step to improve myself. And I see it in our clients, constantly. It's like they're afraid of who they could be. And that's why they're complaining for so long about the person that they are in the moment. They're like, I want to change so badly, but I'm so afraid to lose everything in my life. I'm so afraid to have to change the person I am to become the person that I want to be. There is fear around everything when there are things at stake. Fear is the one thing that makes people a people pleaser. And that's something that we talk about constantly with our clients, is that they're afraid to lose people in their life. They're afraid of what success looks like. There's fear everywhere, and it can hold you back from everything.
But you mentioned something when you were speaking just now, and you said the other side. Fear is one side. If you could stay really comfortable, you can stay exactly where you are, and it'll never move you forward if you let it. But there's this other side. And I think that's what people don't always get a chance to see because they're so closed off to it. And that other side is actually taking a leap and jumping all in so that you can experience the greatness on that side. And, I talk about this a lot, and I've thought about it in my own life specifically, because there can be a fear of all the things that can happen when you actually take your life seriously and you step into your authentic self and you actually have a healthy relationship, the vulnerability, the openness.
The boundary settings.
There's so much, right? But sometimes what we're most afraid of, and maybe you should write this one down if you have your notes open or you're taking notes as you listen to this, we're oftentimes so afraid of the magnitude of how great we could be. You get that? We're so afraid of the magnitude of how great we could be. And a lot of times what it comes down to is trying to overcome that fear to get to the other side of the greatness that's in store for you. You have so much to offer this world, but when you feel trapped and you feel like you can't take a step forward, it stays stuck. And I said this before, and I'll say this again. I think you're doing a disservice to the world by not stepping forward into the person that you want to be, right? It's not stepping forward. You have so much to offer, so much to give. And when fear holds you back, it holds you hostage. And it's uncomfortable, and it's uneasy, and fear will always be that, but really allowing yourself to embrace this change, embracing this fear is where the magic happens, because it's not going to be comfortable. I had, a few people over the weekend join Pride Amplified, our program, and Pride Amplified is a commitment in yourself. It's 6 months of going all in to take you to where you want to be. And I had a couple of them actually share that really they were so nervous. They were so scared to join. Fear almost held them back from jumping into this, but they realized that they needed to do this. And of course, was it uncomfortable? Yeah, they had to make financially some temporary changes for some lifetime, long-lasting changes that could absolutely shift how they live their everyday life. So when you put things into perspective, and that's really what we get to do with you, we get to change your mindset about things, we get to talk about perspectives. Think about what it could be for you in your life. Maybe that's living out loud, finally being, open and honest about who you are if you took a step towards really stepping into who you want to be. Maybe it's being vulnerable and attracting incredible people into your life because you're just showing up so authentically. Maybe for you, it's really setting healthy boundaries and making sure that you say the boundary and you are not backing away. You are sticking to those boundaries. Maybe it's finding validation within and feeling so much inner peace that it doesn't have to come from anyone else ever again. Finding that validation that comes from only you. Maybe it's allowing yourself to celebrate where you are without any conditions. Maybe in appreciating and enjoying every single moment. You wake up and you get to sip your coffee, you get to walk outside, you feel the fresh, crisp air, and you appreciate every single bit of it. Your life begins to change when you start living in this way. But it takes stepping out of fear, right, to get to this point, to experience life. There's a whole new way of being once you've done the deep inner work of facing everything you've been avoiding for years. Not every day is going to feel like a battle with yourself. There's this constant battle when you're fighting back and forth between what the world expects of you and staying in your comfort zone and what you actually want deep down inside. You become your biggest fan. You become your own best friend when you trust yourself and you take a leap when fear is present. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that you can ever think about. And I love that you're listening to this podcast right now because this is your life. It doesn't have to keep waiting that you are letting fear take over. I said this in the beginning. Fear is real, and it can keep us exactly where we are and never move us forward if we let it. But I'm telling you right now, you don't have to let it. I don't believe there's a mistake in you listening to this podcast today. I think there's something in your life that's telling you there's a next step for you. There's something more, there's something on the other side that's going to take you to a whole nother level. And it's a matter of you making sure that you take personal responsibility and you allow yourself to step into what it is for you. Because there's so much greatness, and the magnitude of how great you are, it's just untapped. It's untapped. And there's so much for you to do here in this world. I 100% believe that. Do you feel what I'm saying, Dan?
Totally. I mean, just listening to it, I love how you explain all of this, because you really get fear. When, both of us understand what it's like to just hold yourself back until at some point you've had enough and you're like, I can't continue to live in this comfortable life, even though obviously it's very uncomfortable when you're currently living it, but you're so comfortable with living in fear that it's easier just to remain as you are than to jump into what a beautiful, happy, authentic life could look like for you. Me and you have both done this, and we've just helped people through this for the last couple of years already. And I think it's so important to be talking about it, because we can continue to let the time fly by. We can continue to let the money excuses come up. We can continue to just push it off until at some point people need to decide. You need to decide. Is it better to stay comfortable, staying where you are, or could the other side be better for you?
I think it's a lot more painful to stay stuck, if you ask me. I mean, I'll tell you a vulnerable, transparent story in my own life when I had to overcome fear. And I was actually with Danny when this happened. This is something that I can 100% remember. But it was about me deciding to follow my passion and to do what I want and go against what everyone said. It was to let go of the people-pleasing tendency inside of me and to actually step out of something that I was so comfortable in. For so long, I worked at this job and I was doing marketing there. I liked it. I really did. It wasn't my passion, but it wasn't a bad gig, let me tell you. And so when they offered me a promotion, they offered me $80,000 to move to a new state and to take this job. And starting out, I was like, oh, this could be great. This would be amazing. Like, that would be, I would love to do that. And I was thinking in my head, but, as I started thinking about it, I was like, Keely, you're staying in your comfort zone. This isn't really what you want to do, and you don't want to move to this new place. You've just established a new life in California. You don't want to move to this new place. And so I remember crying to Danny, and the fear was so real. It had taken over everything for me because I was afraid of a few things. I was afraid to take this job or not take it, right? I was afraid of both sides. I was afraid to
maybe disappoint people in your life. I was just thinking of that one.
I was afraid to disappoint everybody who had watched me, who had helped me get the opportunity to do this job, that had connected me in this way. Everything I was so afraid of. I was afraid of letting the people I had worked for down for years. I mean, they were just expecting me to say yes. And when that expectation was on me, it was overwhelming. And I had to decide if I wanted to take that job or if I wanted to walk away from everything and completely start from $0 per year and create a life that I actually wanted to live. And in those moments, I was crying to Danny and I said, I don't know what to do. And she said, you don't have forever, Keely. And I knew, and maybe you feel this too, it's this deep desire to make an impact, to give back, and to do more. It's not just about you, and you feel like there's so much more you have to give, but you don't know how. And that's where I was, and the opportunity was also there to start coaching, to start working with Danny, to start taking on, what it looks like to build out these programs that are going to change the way that LGBTQ plus people live their lives and feel about themselves. And I walked away from that job, and it was going to be stable, it was going to be comfortable. And I called up the guy that offered me the job, and I said, I'm so sorry, I can't take it, but I appreciate the offer. I'll be, sending in all my stuff. And I resigned. I resigned from all of it. Everything that I had worked for 4 or 5 years, I walked away from. And I remember, just that day feeling so overwhelmed. And I said, I have to burn the bridge. I have to let go of every single thing in order to make this new life work in this way that I want. I have to believe in it. I have to trust myself. And I want you to think about it in your own life. Maybe for you, it's thinking about what it looks like to actually start investing in yourself and your personal growth. And it's like, I've got to burn every bridge and I have to do this. I can't keep listening to the podcast. I can't keep reading all the books. Like, I need to make a commitment to myself and actually do something different. It's time to burn the bridge and really jump in with everything that I have. And that's exactly what I did in those moments. And I am so forever grateful for taking a leap and stepping out of my comfort zone. Maybe you're listening to this podcast right now and you're like, my golly, Keely,
My golly.
I'm not sure. I thought it sounded pretty good. Maybe you didn't say that.
I like that. They may not have said my golly, but you may have said something else.
Yeah, you said, Keely, come on.
You get me.
Yeah,
you get me, Key.
You get me. You totally know what I'm feeling right now. You totally know that there's fear there and I need to do something different. So that's where we're at. And I want you to know that you can actually take steps towards what it looks like. And number one, you don't have to do this alone. We're here for you. Danny and I was going to say Danny and Keely. Danny and Keely.
Danny and I.
They're there for you. We're here every single step of the way, okay? And we're here to take care of you and walk you step by step. It can be scary, but let's just have a conversation about it. We're here to take care of you. We're here to help you become the person that you want to be. I'm so glad that you're listening to this podcast and really just getting so much out of it. Were you going to say something?
I was thinking, I was like, it's all about facing fear head on and not wanting to run away from it anymore. Fear is always going to be present, but it's whether or not you face it and you're like, I'm ready to be done with you, or you just continue to let it hold you back. So make that decision, and we're here for you.
Why don't you head on over to our Instagram @ComingOutHappy. Let us know you listened to this episode and send us a little message. Let us know. I can't wait to hear from you. I'm super excited. Let's get the ball rolling on your new future, the new way of being, and everything that you have in store. I'm really, really excited to meet you. So head on over, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.